Another fantastic guest, Iqra Waqar. I'm sure you have like a lot of experience. Are teachers not trained?
Teachers are not trained for that.
Yeah, like there's a rush to just promote the kids.
While the ideal model should be that teacher.
हमें 6 months से पता चल गया.
But if you put the screen time away, if he knows he has to wait for it, then nobody has to teach it.
Do you feel it also has to do with the fact that now are no longer surrounded with
a kid is there and a mom is working or a mom is at home or dad, even as small as a year old?
A lot of parents come in speech therapy कराई कोई फायदा.
Or maybe as a consultant, if a parent comes in, it may be as small as that.
Does it affect therapy if parents?
Some sort of behavior in the present.
When they feel that bacha eye contact nahi kar raha, they become very anxious.
We told the parent that we are going to start intervention. We started on a very, very, very basic level.
Assalamualaikum everybody and welcome to Podcast with Ammi. Today we have another fantastic guest from the First Hope Centre, Iqra Waqar, who is a very experienced speech and language pathologist. She's been working in the field of special needs education for a while. She's also the managing director at First Hope. So let's talk to her about what role do therapies play, what therapies have been proven to be successful, and so many other questions that we get from parents of neurodivergent children. Hi Iqra, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Good. Acha Iqra, so I wanted to know, okay, I'm sure you have like a lot of experience since you've been working in the education sector with special needs children and all. So what do you feel is the biggest hindrance when it comes to diagnosis? Are teachers not trained? Do parents like reject any such issues? What is it कि हमारे यहाँ diagnosis early नहीं हो रहे बल्कि अक्सर बहुत late होते हैं?
There are quite a few issues, to be honest, in fact. Ek to, yes, our teachers. So basically, our teachers, they're very good at what they do. I'm not saying that, but hota kya hai? So they are not trained to be able to differentiate between a kid who is generally a slow learner or a kid who's actually struggling with a learning challenge. Because the teachers are not trained for that. At times, when the kids are in really early classes, maybe in kindergarten, maybe in a preschool or grade 1, they kind of slip through the holes. Maybe if a kid wasn't able to write an answer correctly, or maybe the kid wasn't able to correctly spell a word, it would be positive, okay, it's fine, he'll do it in the later times. So the kids, they tend to slip out of those loopholes, and by the time they're identified, it's so late, it comes in MYP or, in the middle school in grade 6 and 7. It's so late, it's difficult to then help them out.
Yeah.
So it's one of those issues, yes. The other is that...
So why do they slip through the cracks? Is it because हमारा teacher-student ratio कोई बहुत ideal नहीं है? या like there's a rush to just promote the kids?
It's quite a few things. Ek to, yes, there are a lot of kids in the classes. We generally, a class we have 30 plus kids. We have 29, 30, 31, 32
and like one
kids.
teacher and one assistant.
One teacher, yes, and one assistant teacher. And the model the teachers now follow is they divide the subjects. They say, okay, these are the certain subjects you can teach and these certain subjects I'm going to teach. While the ideal model should be that one of the teachers is the lead person who takes the whole class, while the other one takes up a focus group of the kids who have a little struggle in that subject. So what happens is because of so much load, then the teacher has to do the copy checking. They have to make sure all the tasks are done, the exams, if the school has exams, the exams are prepared. There's so much load that the time needed to be, focusing on the kids who are finding a challenge, that time is missed. So that's one of the reasons, yes, the kids are struggling, the teachers are struggling as well.
Yeah. So is there an ideal age for diagnosis jahan par agar aap intervene kar lo, so the improvement is quite remarkable? Like what do you feel is the right age? Because on Scary Hummy often people talk about हमें 6 months से पता चल गया, and I'm like 6 months पे तो आपको नहीं पता चला. So what is the ideal age? जिससे पहले worry करना doesn't make sense, and जिसके बाद it would be late.
For diagnosis, I would say wait for 4 to 5 years of age. Don't go early for diagnosis, but intervention should come as early as possible.
How early?
If a kid has a diagnosis, say it's Down syndrome or it's on the spectrum, then it should be as early as even a year and a half. That's
So
that's
18
good.
months pe you
Yes,
shuru kar do.
yes. But if a kid does not have a diagnosis, but you can see red flags, a mother can, a teacher can. Early intervention can start as early as in a nursery or a playgroup. You can set up specific accommodations or modification or specific intervention tasks that can help the kid. Say you have a kid who does not sit, who does not like to sit on a table and work, right? So instead of making the kid sit on the table, maybe you could see if the kid likes to work on the floor. Maybe you could give him a task that does that, right?
Yeah.
So intervention can start really, really early. The earlier you start, the better the prognosis.
So you're saying diagnosis है या नहीं है जो आपको
जी।
issues लग रहे हैं उनके ऊपर
हाँ जी।
intervention आप 18 महीने पे
जी
शुरू करें।
आप शुरू कर दें आपका डायग्नोसिस जो है देखिए डायग्नोसिस इज व्हाट्स गोइंग टू क्लैरिफाई कि एग्जैक्टली है क्या राइट मगर आपको वहाँ
जो
पर
symptoms
तो नज़र आ गए हैं राइट सो व्हाई नॉट वर्क ऑन देम एंड टीचर्स कैन वर्क ऑन देम पेरेंट्स कैन वर्क ऑन देम interventionist can work on them and if it works together तो at times आपका जो बच्चे का diagnosis है वो उतना clearly आपको पता लग जाता है
Okay, and tell me, especially since your specialty is speech and language, a lot of people are now having speech delays. Like, do you is there a connection between speech delays and screen time?
It is.
What is the connection? Or kitna screen time is okay?
Ideally, so I would say कि screen time should not be there for kids, ठीक है? Minimum at least 7-8 years तक तो मत दें.
Zero.
Yes, ठीक है? बहुत ज़रूरत है तो maybe an hour or two and also low stimulation shows. There are shows which have very high stimulation like Cocomelon. Cocomelon.
Cocomelon is a high stimulation.
It's very high, very stimulative, right?
क्यों इतना
There's such bright colors, the songs and the music and the movement. It's too high for them, right?
Okay.
So there are programs, there are cartoons which have low stimulation. एक तो ये.
जैसे कौन सा?
Dragon Tales. We had a cartoon in the 90s, Dragon Tales. Barney, if you look at them, right?
वो low
stimulation. And they have actual conversations going on. There's not too much colors. There's nothing flashy there, So kid can actually listen to them. दूसरा ये है कि स्क्रीन टाइम look, स्क्रीन टाइम क्या है? स्क्रीन टाइम ये है कि बच्चा एक चीज़ को देख रहा है, राइट? There is no conversation going on. He's looking at it, he's listening, मगर वो one way conversation, सब कुछ one way communication है. तो उसकी conversation तो नहीं हो रही. तो obviously the delay is going to come because he's hooked to the screen. Now उसकी physical movement है, now उसका communication है. So the delay is bound to come. But if you put the screen time away, if you see a kid, वैसे in the natural environment, he's playing, he's communicating, he's taking turns. Like I was swing पे गया and there are 2 kids, so he's bound to take turn. He knows he has to wait for his turn. Nobody has to teach it. It comes very naturally to a kid. Maybe you take a kid with his peers or with his class fellows, he knows he's supposed to share things. If there's a toy, they are supposed to pretend play. They are supposed to share it. So these things come very naturally to a kid. You don't have to teach them. Yeah. So with screen time, ये जो चीज़ें naturally बच्चे acquire करते थे, they are now regressing.
Do you feel it also has to do with the fact that now parents are so busy in Pakistan, with, I think, social commitments, and also we've quickly become 2-income families. So ab bacche are no longer surrounded with parents and dado-dadi.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel that's affecting speech and language development?
That factor does come into play as well, Ji. It does, because again, pehle kya hota tha, if, a kid is there and a mom is working or if mom is at home or dad, they would be conversing with the kid even as small as a year-old. They'll be talking to a kid, या उससे कहेंगे अच्छा तुम्हें क्या चाहिए, आपको क्या चाहिए, मैं आपको ला देता हूँ. Now the parents are busy. At times the grandparents are not in the picture. Maybe they live separately or something like that. And because the parents are busy, earning or with their own profession, at times क्या होता है कि उनका frustration level भी high हो जाता है. When they come home, they are so tired कि वो जो एक quality time है उनके लिए देना मुश्किल हो जाता है. And kids are very quick to absorb. दे आर वेरी क्विक टू अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स. बच्चे बहुत जल्दी वाइब्स कैच कर लेते हैं, वो अपनी इन्वायरमेंट से बहुत जल्दी सीख लेते हैं. सो दे रियलाइज के आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गेट. फिर उसके अंदर यू सी टैंट्रम्स, you see meltdowns, you see a kid giving you behavior. That behavior is not that. That's them seeking your attention because they know कि अगर वो आपको बुलाएंगे, you might not look at them, you might not, you will अच्छा wait करो. But when they cry or when they shout, you are going to give them attention. Be it negative, be it positive. Attention तुमको मिल रही है, right? And that's their way of seeking it. And when you keep doing that, बच्चा आप उसने आपसे चीज़ मांगी, आपने नहीं दी, you keep doing it 2, 4, 6 दफ़ा, वो सीख लेता है क्योंकि that is now my way of getting their attention. And then they are going to repeat it. So yes, it does happen. It is happening.
And our society remains a patriarchal society. So do you feel हमारा जो एक attitude है कि हमने अपने बेटों को spoil करना है, is that doing more harm than good?
It's a controversial question, I must say, but yes, it is. It is, yes, because Pakistan is predominantly a patriarchal country. So, हाँ जी, it does happen. उसके अंदर ये होता है कि जो the boys, because boys by nature, mostly, mostly they are a little more hyper. They are, they have their own developmental ways. So, उसमें ये होता है कि जी जो girls हैं, they tend to be a little more, how should I say it? They can be a little more passive. वो थोड़ी passive हो जाती हैं, और they might learn things कि अच्छा ठीक है, I might not get that attention, so I need to stay quiet. And the boys, they learn कि अच्छा I am the one who gets more attention, so maybe I can get things like this. So yes, this can happen as well.
So I'm coming to speech therapy, like a lot of parents on review groups and parenting groups write, हमने speech therapy कराई कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ, हमने speech therapy कराई, the therapist just took money because obviously it's expensive. How long does speech therapy take? या क्या कोई definite time नहीं है कि आपको कब कोई difference नजर आना चाहिए?
देखिए, every diagnosis, every kid is different, right? So we can't give a timeline. But yes, as a therapist, as a speech pathologist, as an interventionist, or maybe as a consultant, if a parent comes in, I always say to them, give them at least 2 months. Therapy takes time. Therapy is not like a normal medication कि आपने एक tablet दियो बच्चा ठीक हो गया, right? Yes, because देखिए in speech, in early intervention, in be it any intervention or therapy, you are rewiring the brain. And it is going to take time because you are teaching the kid to learn a lot of things and unlearn a lot of things, right? So it takes time. At times, हमारा goal इतना छोटा होता है कि it may be as simple as saying कि मैं उसे play करूँगी, if I say hello, the kid has to say hello back to me. It may be as small as that. But we do not force a kid. You do not force a kid in speech therapy.
But in 2 months, you're saying कुछ ना कुछ
आपको फर्क नजर आता है.
And अगर नहीं आ रहा, then parents have the right to go to the therapist and be like.
Yeah, and parents, what? When I talk to a parent, I always tell them कि come and sit in my session. Give me a few days to settle the kid down. मेरे से rapport build हो जाए. Once build हो गई है, I always tell them, come in the session and sit at the back.
But why do all therapists not allow that? Does it affect therapy if parents are there?
At times. देखिए, at times क्या होता है, we know a kid is going to give some sort of behavior in the presence of parent. अगर ऐसा होता है तो therapist उनको मना करते थे कि अच्छा आप आज ना आए. But ideally, a parent should sit in the therapy. Okay. Not all of them, maybe once a week observe कर लें, 2 दफ़ा कर लें. And at First Hope, we do ask the parents. At First Hope, we ask the parents to come in and observe the session. एक तो ये कि obviously they'll know what is being done, right? 2, they can do that at home. They can do the exact at home, and that would help with the generalization as well.
Absolutely. मुझे लगता है कि besides speech delay, you also have things like stammering, stuttering, फिर वो तोतलापन, certain words नहीं सही बनते. In सब में, are there things that children grow out of? Do they all need early interventions for these to be corrected?
Earlier the intervention, as I said, better the progress, but they all grow out. Stammering can the kids grow out. There might be relapses, but they're, with intervention, they always grow out of it. And articulation errors so हमेशा fix हो जाते हैं. It's about teaching them how to the tongue placement, the mouth placement, but the kids learn them.
Okay.
तो हो जाता है.
Then there's also this like confusion about if a child is exposed to, I feel in Pakistan children are generally exposed to like 3 languages, English in school, Urdu at home, and then the maids and the drivers will either speak Pashto or Punjabi. Or in Sindh like Saraiki, Balochi, so 3. So people, there's some confusion. Some people say, oh, that means it's a good thing and the children are picking up, and others say कि नहीं, confusion इतनी होती है इसीलिए delays होती हैं. What is the proper understanding of exposure to multiple languages?
No. So a kid can learn as many languages as they can, right? Their brains are very neuroplastic. They can learn. That's not it. In our schools, we teach them Urdu, we teach them English, we teach them French, right? The kids are learning. But language acquisition is easier at earlier ages. But yes, if a kid is having, a speech issue, or a kid is having a language acquisition issue, and they come for a speech and language therapy, right? Then we try initially we focus on one language. अगर तो हमें पता, and then we ask the parents which is the dominant language at home. So we try, but it's not true that a kid cannot learn too many languages. The acquisition of language is easier at earlier ages.
And exposure to multiple languages, उसका नुकसान नहीं है, बल्कि
फायदा है. हाँ, as I said, neuroplastic होते हैं. They can learn as much as you say. They absorb languages. क्योंकि जब हम बड़े हो जाते हैं ना, we learn language with as a rule, with grammatical rules, but with exposure we don't learn it. We learn it naturally, organically. Yes, organically we start learning the language.
Yeah, absolutely. अच्छा, early schooling के बारे में आपका क्या ख्याल है? Because often when a child isn't speaking or isn't socializing at the age of 1 year or 14 months, so एक solution जो हमारे यहाँ अब people say, especially because the parents are busy, is school भेज दो. So I know that there are school programs that are now taking kids at 18 months. Do you feel that helps? Like, does that speed up development?
That does. You see, there's
so are you in favor of early schooling?
Yes. See, there's a lot of exposure there.
Yeah.
My own kid, she went to school when she was of, I think 19 months. I sent her to a really,
because you're also working.
Yeah. And I saw a definite change. I saw a definite change in her language. I saw a change in her behavior. I saw a change in her socialization. She became very social. She, she knew how to go and meet a person, what to say if somebody said hello to me. I never had to teach that to her. Because she was being exposed to that place. She was exposed to the kids. She was, they were kids of her own age. She was socializing with them. So that does have a very positive effect.
Yeah. So Iqra, a lot of parents who, when they feel कि बच्चा eye contact नहीं कर रहा, बोल नहीं रहा, I feel ना बोलना is a massive frustration for parents. They become very very anxiety driven, very frustrated. Have you seen like miracle stories where early interventions have really like changed the entire outlook of the child? And would you like give hope to these parents? Because with neurodivergent, we don't know the cause and there is no cure. It's all just management.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. I had a kid when I was working in the academic sector. The kid came to me. He was in kindergarten, I think. So the teacher came to me, and the teacher was really good. She came to me and she said, I've seen red flags and I want you to come and observe him. And I was like, okay, I'll come in. And I went in and I saw red flags. And I was like, yeah, the kid is having challenges. We had no diagnosis. We knew the parent was in denial, so we could not go and talk to him. We told the parent that we are going to start intervention, but we did not say that there's any diagnosis attached to it, because again, we wanted to work on the kid first.
Rather than making the parent
and also, putting a label on a kid without even working and saying कि मसला क्या चल रहा है. So we started working. We started on a very, very, very basic level, to the point that I would sit and we would just work on phonemic awareness, and we just all worked on how sounds are and how sounds make up, not even letters, how sounds make up words. It was all very basic and all play-based. We worked for good 3-4 years. So very intensive lessons. And mashallah, the kid is on the class level. He's accessing the curriculum. He's one of the top 10 students of the class. And we still provide accommodations. The accommodations are still there. The modifications are still there. We, every year when the kid goes, we go talk to the teacher. I tell her, these are the accommodations, these are modification. But with them, the kid is now accessing everything. He's one of the regular kids. If even when I go to a teacher in the next year and I tell them, this is going to happen, this is learning profile, they're like, we didn't know. We couldn't have guessed from without doing it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because we started really early, and the diagnosis came, I think, 6 months.
And what was the diagnosis?
That was ADHD.
Okay. But because you had started work early.
Yes. And it was at my level up to, and mashallah, the kid is going good.
Okay, and last question. So, at First Hope, which is a new center that's just opened up, and since you have so much experience working in the education sector in Pakistan, what do you feel you're offering at First Hope jo pehle like missing tha?
Missing from our society.
Missing from the services provided. Before First Hope, like दूसरे centers and दूसरे educational institutes जो चीज़ें provide कर रहे थे, उसमें क्या missing था जो First Hope is filling the gap?
So, one, एक तो ये है कि there are a lot of therapy centers, right? But there are a lot of malpractices happening. I'll be very honest, right? The First Hope ये है कि because they are all from the international standards, the malpractices are not there. They are very ethical. Everything is, of international standard. Everything is, which is exactly how it should be done. One, that is it. Two, trainings. Training to the parents, trainings to the teachers, trainings to the schools, because you can't make a change if the society is not changing. You can't make a change from a 3-hour or 2-hour of a therapy. That's not going to work. If you need to make a change, the change has to go to the parents, to the school the kid is going.
So it has to be fully integrated.
Yes. It has to be done holistically so that everyone, who's engaging knows how to work with the kid.
तो आप लोग ये कैसे कर रहे हो at First Hope?
As I said, we invite the parents in. So the parents come in, parents observe the session, so they are aware. We have weekly meetings, so every parent has their own weekly slot set up. They come in, the therapists come in, they have their queries, the queries are catered to. They are given a weekly report of the therapy that has been done, how it's been done, and why was it being done, what was the aim behind it. Other than that, we are collaborating with schools, we are collaborating.
And then you're also training the teachers, training the
shadow teachers as well. Yeah. So a lot of awareness is being done, a lot of training is being done.
So I think whereas First Hope is different is that it's really providing a holistic solution rather than just therapies.
Just therapies, Ji.
Right, great. Well, thank you so much, Iqra. It was great to talk to you. Thank you for sharing all your insights on speech and language pathology.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will be attaching the details of First Hope Centre, where you can go meet Iqra, take your child for an assessment if he or she needs it, or just go and learn about all the programs they have and the ways in which they're supporting parents. Thank you.